The Kelce brothers brought New Heights back from Easter break with a special extended podcast episode beginning with Jason Kelce's familiar chuckle over the ice, Jason's shocked reaction when Travis talks about Taylor Swift, and Dad Ed Kelce on Easter on the podcast on Tuesday, April 22nd. The Kelce brothers brought New Heights back from Easter break. To put it another way, this past week has been like a sitcom about a family. As Jason laughed and threw his head back, his eyes continued to sparkle with the excitement of an unforgettable holiday. He said, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I watched Taylor Swift get her Easter egg breakfast from our dad, Ed Kelce," and he emphasized each word as if he were reciting a timeless legend. From the other side of the screen, Travis Kelce, who was wearing a gray hoodie and had a friendly expression on his face, nodded his head in agreement while his eyes continued to shine with affection. That's not a joke, bro. It appeared as though Taylor was observing a character from Yellowstone when he looked at my elderly father. Taylor's father had just entered the room while wearing a bright Hawaiian shirt and taking a plate of hot dogs, and he looked directly at her. "Baby, do you eat egg yolks?" As a result of Travis's laughter, Jason slammed his hand down strongly on the table. Jason laughed and said, "That guy is a living legend," but the fact that he introduced Taylor while wearing a flamingo shirt and a Chiefs necklace was the epitome of Easter fashion. Despite his best efforts, Travis was unable to contain his laughter. The only thing that Taylor did was smile, nod, and say, "Yeah, I like yolks, uncle." She did not go into freak-out mode, which caused my father to radiate happiness throughout the day. "Bro," he couldn't cease talking about it. "Bro," he said. He was thinking to himself, "That girl knows that egg yolks are the essence of Easter, honey." Jason chuckled and shook his head. "I bet he even told me about how he won an egg tossing tournament in 9th grade. Right, of course," Travis almost screamed. "And he told me about throwing eggs from the backyard to the other side of the wall, which is obviously a distance that can be shortened with age." Taylor listened to it like she was listening to an NFL legend. Jason clapped his hands together. "I told you that old man knows how to steal the spotlight better than his own son." Travis laughed in agreement. And you know what's crazy? After breakfast, Taylor asked my dad to go for a walk in the yard. And guess what? My dad pulled out his phone, an old flip phone, and said to Taylor, "Can you show me how to reset my ringtone? I want to shake it off." Jason let out a gasp, and then he laughed so hard that he bent his head over the table. Do not tell me that she actually carried out the act. In point of fact, she did it. Travis came dangerously close to yelling. She took the phone, sat down next to my father on the bench, and set it up with one hand while patting him on the shoulder with the other. 3 minutes later, the Nokia rang with Taylor's voice saying, "Shake it off, shake it off." The eyes of Jason were closed, and he laughed as if his stomach was in pain. Travis continued, "I can't take it anymore. It was the greatest moment in Kelce's history." After that, at noon, when everyone was gathered on the back porch for lunch, my father stood up with a beer in his hand and said, "My son may have played in the Super Bowl, but Taylor Swift is the most valuable player of this Easter." Jason appeared to be genuinely moved as he pounded his chest. "I was on the verge of crying, bro. It was the first time in my life that I witnessed my father experiencing a genuine connection with a person who was not related to either football or beer." He referred to Taylor as his strategic partner. Travis flashed a grin, his eyes appearing slightly misty. When my father, who had previously clenched his teeth at Love Story, began using it as his ringback tone, that was the moment I realized that everything was going to be all right. Jason's hand was still on his cheek as he continued to be perplexed. When Taylor told the story about how he came so close to being selected for a rock band in the 1970s, what kind of reaction did he have during the conversation? Travis whispered into the microphone as he leaned in close to it. "Choiring, do you have a demo?" she asked. The two brothers burst out laughing once more, as if there was nothing that could stop them from laughing anymore. Jason inhaled deeply and then readjusted his posture before continuing. "When I see Taylor integrating into our family with the grumpy old man, the noisy siblings, and the children running around while still maintaining that gentle smile, I can understand why you love her. This is true, regardless of whether or not it is a joke." Following a brief pause, Travis gave a slight nod while his voice became more subdued. "She is not trying to showcase her talents. Rather, she is simply being herself. She is not Taylor Swift, the pop star. Rather, she is Taylor Swift, the sweet, funny, listening, and loving girlfriend." Jason had a grin on his face and his eyes shone with genuineness. "This is the happiest I've ever seen my brother, and I have no doubt that my father feels the same way." Travis let out a chuckle. "The advice that my father gave me was, if you don't keep her, don't come home." Jason laughed as he threw his head back and laughed. "My name is Ed." The laughter eventually gave way to a warm silence as the brothers reminisced about the emotional holiday that had been the foundation for the formation of new relationships. During this holiday, Easter eggs, old phones, lunches in the garden, and family bonds were all important components. And watching my dad and Taylor sitting together laughing, it was clear to me family isn't just where you're born, it's where the people you love are welcomed, Travis explained in a slow manner. Jason gave a slight nod, his eyes glistening with compassion. Bro, this episode ought to be titled Taylor and Ed, An Unexpected Romance, or at the very least, Eggs and Shake It Off. You have the option to choose. Both of them were outstanding. Travis laughed and said, "Just make sure that whenever I do something wrong, the ringtone is not changed to Bad Blood." Laughter could be heard once more. A long but emotional podcast episode in which the two men talked not only about the holiday, but also about bonding growing up and how love, regardless of how unexpected it may be, can make a family burst into laughter in the midst of a lack of real-time updates on the life of Travis Kelce. The sound of hands slapping the table, a sound that is completely familiar to listeners. After searching through the archives for a long time, fans have discovered a hilarious old tweet that the NFL legend sent out celebrating Easter. For the time being, Kelce and his superstar girlfriend Taylor Swift are keeping a low profile in the midst of some downtime in their hectic schedules. It is unknown where they will be celebrating Easter this year. Many have speculated that they are likely to be in Philadelphia with his brother Jason, having just welcomed a new baby to the family, but they seem to be working hard to keep their whereabouts under wraps. That has led to fans getting their Kelce fix in the only way they know how. Kelce, who was then 20 years old and 2 years into his college career with Cincinnati, decided to search through the archives in order to find an old tweet celebrating the holiday. In the tweet, he wrote, "Happy Easter to all. I would like to give a shout out to Jesus for taking down one for the team." Despite the fact that the message received 832 reposts, the majority of those reposts are relatively recent. This is because the old post went viral on Easter Sunday of 2025, which was a full 15 years after it was initially shared. The well-known tweet from Kelce comes just a few days after the Kansas City Chiefs were criticized for a survey that was published on the internet by the individuals who were responsible for creating his New Heights podcast. In the questionnaire, several fans were asked questions that included references to Swift, Kelce's girlfriend. Swift's fans accused the Chiefs star of pathetically chasing after her for influence, and they referred to the survey as being insane. The listeners were given the task of selecting up to 3 reasons why they began listening to New Heights, for instance. I was drawn to the football-specific commentary and analysis of games, and I was drawn to the dynamic of the Kelce family. However, there are also several statements related to Kelce's girlfriend, such as, "I was drawn to the prospect of hearing details and clues about Taylor Swift's life and her relationship with Travis." These are just some of the options at your disposal. An additional selection stated, "I like feeling like a part of the community that supports Taylor's happiness outside of her music." As soon as Swift was mentioned in the survey, a significant number of the singer's fans hid their faces. According to one person, "This is so effing gross. The situation is going to be extremely embarrassing. Why would they act in such a manner?" According to the question of another individual, "I've never seen more pathetic clout chasing." The third was added by Travis. "What was the reason behind allowing Wondery to inquire about Taylor in relation to your podcast?" Someone else posed the following question, "The questions regarding Taylor and their relationship are so strange and disgusting." Erin Andrews, a reporter for the National Football League, and Jarrett Stoll, her husband, went to look at Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. What's the goal here? Due to the generosity of Swift and her boyfriend Travis Kelce, the couple was able to have a nice setup at the show. In terms of a concert that lasted for 3.5 hours, it was over in an hour. It felt like an hour had passed. We were able to set up well. As stated by Stoll in the episode of the Calm Down podcast that was released on April 16th, Andrews and Stoll were able to receive VIP treatment at the show, and they expressed their gratitude for the opportunity. "I would like to extend my gratitude to Travis and Taylor for providing us with a tent," Stoll continued. "There is a strong indication that Andrews and Stoll are developing a strong friendship with Swift and Kelce. The fact of the matter is that Swift and Kelce found themselves in the company of Andrews during their vacation in Montana earlier this year. Andrews reportedly accompanied Kelce and Swift to the Auric Room for dinner, as reported by Page 6, which cited a source as the source of the information. Aaron is a close friend of both Travis and Taylor, and Travis even acknowledges in jest that Aaron was the one who encouraged Taylor to start dating somebody.